Good afternoon, welcome to Midday Prime. I'm Amritpal Singh. Over the next 1 hour, we bring you all the stories and updates from India and from around the world. We'll update you about the happenings in the world of business and sports, and we'll get you some interesting stories that are making the headlines. But first up, the big news of this hour. Delhi government announces lockdown in the national capital for 6 days till April 26th. Delhi Chief Minister announces the decision after key meeting with LG of Delhi, appeals to migrant labourers not to migrate out of Delhi. Prime Minister Narendra Modi chairs an important meeting amid the surge in COVID cases, reviews the COVID situation in the country. Cabinet Secretary to hold video conference with State Chief Secretaries to discuss the issue of medical oxygen. States bring back restrictions to break the cases of resurgence. Rajasthan announces strict restrictions till 3rd May. All workplaces to remain closed across the state. Tamil Nadu announces Sunday lockdown and night curfew from tomorrow. Goa restricts gathering of people to 50. India's cumulative vaccination coverage exceeds 12.38 crores. 2,73,000 new cases reported on Sunday. 79% of new cases from 10 states. National mortality rate further dips to 1.91%. Czech Republic and Russia expel each other's diplomats over 2014 explosion at a Czech ammunition depot. Protesters gather outside the Russian embassy in Prague, chanting anti-Russia slogans and calling on EU to support Czech Republic. At least 11 persons died and 98 injured after a train derailed in Egypt. The accident is the latest of several recent railway crashes in the country. And in sports, in an unprecedented move, 12 of the Europe's leading football clubs come together to establish a midweek European Super League. UEFA says it will ban any clubs who join the Breakaway League. UK Prime Minister and French President condemned the move of the clubs to break away. NASA set to attempt first ever launch of its helicopter Ingenuity from the surface of Mars. If successful, it will be the first powered controlled flight to another planet. So those were the headlines or the big news we were tracking at this hour. Let's now begin with our big news of the hour. Well, the biggest news of this hour, a lockdown or a curfew has been imposed in Delhi. The Delhi government has announced a lockdown in the national capital from 10 tonight to 5 a.m. till next Monday. Announcing this government's decision, Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal has said that in the last 3-4 days, around 25,000 cases have been reported in the national capital. The positivity rate has spiked to alarming levels, causing an acute shortage of beds and leaving virtually no ICU beds vacant.
मेरी और एलजी साहब की मीटिंग हुई और इन सारे पहलुओं के ऊपर, सारी परिस्थिति के ऊपर काफ़ी विस्तार से बातचीत हुई और उस बातचीत के बाद हमें ये लगा कि दिल्ली का हेल्थ सिस्टम बड़ी मात्रा में और अधिक पेशेंट्स अब लेने में असमर्थ है। अगर हमने अभी लॉकडाउन नहीं लगाया तो कहीं ऐसा ना हो कि बड़ी त्रासदी हो जाए। हम किसी भी हालत में दिल्ली को उस परिस्थिति में नहीं ले जाना चाहते जहां कॉरिडोर के अंदर पेशेंट्स पड़े हैं, सड़कों पे लोग दम तोड़ रहे हैं। आज सभी परिस्थितियों का जायजा लेने के बाद आपकी सरकार को ये लगता है कि दिल्ली में कुछ दिन के लिए लॉकडाउन लगाना ज़रूरी है। तो आज रात को 10 बजे से अगले सोमवार को सुबह 5 बजे तक 6 दिन के लिए दिल्ली में लॉकडाउन लगाया जा रहा है। इस दौरान जाहिर है कि जो एसेंशियल सर्विसेज हैं वो जारी रहेंगी, खाने पीने की, मेडिकल व्यवस्थाओं की वो जारी रहेंगी।
And the Delhi Chief Minister also appealed to migrant labourers not to leave Delhi as this lockdown is just for 6 days. He assured migrant labourers that Delhi government will take care of them.
पिछली बार जब देश में लॉकडाउन लगा था, हमने देखा कि किस तरह बड़ी संख्या में प्रवासी मजदूर अपने गांव जाने लगे थे। उनसे मैं खास तौर से हाथ जोड़ के अपील करना चाहता हूं, ये छोटा सा लॉकडाउन है, 6 दिन का, दिल्ली छोड़ के मत जाइएगा। आपके आने जाने में इतना समय खराब हो जाएगा, इतना पैसा खराब हो जाएगा, इतनी ऊर्जा खराब होती है। दिल्ली में रहिए। मुझे उम्मीद है कि ये छोटा लॉकडाउन है और छोटा ही रहेगा। मुझे पूरी उम्मीद है कि शायद बढ़ाने की जरूरत ना पड़े।
And let's now take a look at how the lockdown will be implemented in the national capital. If we look at the figures, it's a 6-day lockdown in Delhi, as the Chief Minister was saying. It comes into effect from 10 p.m. Today and goes on till the 5 a.m. on next Monday. Now let's take a look at the curfew movement on individuals. The individuals who have been exempted are medical persons on production of valid ID cards, pregnant women or patients going for medical aid, along with the attendant on production of valid ID or a doctor's prescription or medical papers. They will be exempted from the movement during this curfew or lockdown. Those going for testing or vaccination, they'll be exempted. Persons coming from or going to airports, railway stations, ISBTs, that's the bus stands, on production of valid tickets will also be exempted. Officials and diplomats of various countries, they'll be exempted from restrictions. Also, persons holding constitutional posts, they will be exempted from these restrictions. People from the media, both the electronic and the print media, they'll be allowed to move freely on production of valid ID cards. Public transport will run in the capital, that means the metro, the buses, but with up to 50% seating capacity. No standing permissions are allowed in the metro or in the buses. Public parks, gymnasiums, shopping centers, auditoriums, restaurants, they will remain closed during this lockdown. Well, there is a restriction on gatherings, congregations. These are totally prohibited, except for funerals and marriages. Essential services, food services and medical services will continue. There will be no restriction on interstate and intrastate movement of essential goods and items. Their transportation is allowed. No separate permission or e-pass is required for such movement. Well, religious places will remain open, but you cannot go to the religious places. You know, if you have to offer prayers, you'll have to do it from the presence of your home. You cannot go to your temples, mandirs, gurdwaras, churches or masjids or any other regional or any other religious places. They will remain symbolically open. Those who are allowed, who run them, the priests, etc., will perform the puja there. The rituals can take place, but no devotees are allowed inside. The movement of persons related who are going for marriage and related gatherings, up to 50 persons are allowed movement. Funeral related gatherings up to 20 persons are allowed. So this is what is allowed, and these are the people who can move in the Delhi lockdown. But otherwise, a strict curfew will be imposed from 10 p.m. Today. And now let's. I'm joined by my colleague Ravi Dhiman. Ravi, give us a sense of you know, now that the curfew or the restrictions of lockdown have been announced by the Delhi Chief Minister. Ravi joins us from the Sardar Patel Covid Center in Delhi. Ravi, give us a sense of how are the people of the city reacting to it? Is there panic in the city? Is there panic buying happening? What is the situation in the city first?
Well, there is some sort of panic that is bound to happen when the government announces a lockdown of sorts for 7 continuous days. But most of the Delhiites were, as we can say, Amritpal, expecting such sort of announcement by the Delhi government, given the surge in the cases and the northward trend of the graph, the steep curve of the graph going up with the number of cases rising with each day, the positivity rate climbing up to 30%, which was unheard of in the first, second or third wave. And so Delhiites, many people were expecting it. Many people were in fact egging on the government to go for it. So there is no panic as such in Delhi, but yes, some dispensation will be there about essential supplies like milk and other groceries, and people who are daily wage laborers or who earn their daily wages by going out to work and finding work every day, they will be a little bit disappointed lot. Otherwise, most of the Delhi was in fact anticipating such sort of harsh measure by the Delhi government.
Ravi, we've put out the details of what the Chief Minister announced and the DDMA order, which said who can move, who cannot move, what will open, what will not open, food service, essential services like hospitals, etc. Will open, police, fire brigade, or hospitals, all essential services will remain open. Their employees can move around. But what about people, if you have to go and buy supplies, can you go to your neighborhood shops? Will they be open? Can people, say, go to mother dairies, buy milk? How will that come into effect? Ravi, can you hear me?
Yes, tell me, Amritsar.
Yeah, I was asking you, we've already listed out who all can move, are exempted from these restrictions, what will remain open, food services, essential services like, say, hospitals, the police, etc. That will remain open. But people, can they move out to their neighborhood markets or neighborhood shops, say, to buy milk in the morning or vegetables, etc. Can people move within limited things, or will it be a complete lockdown?
Well, as in the past, Amrit, it will not be a complete lockdown. It will not be a complete curfew of that sort that people cannot venture out of their homes. People will be allowed to buy essentials, as it was evident during the first phase of the lockdown last year. The essential supply shops were open. They were allowed to operate, like the milk booths, and the grocery shops were open, the chemist shops were open, the hospitals were open, and all the essential supply shops and establishments were allowed to function 24/7 if required be in the first phase of harsh restrictions also, and that will continue here because people cannot do without essential supplies. So the milk booths will be allowed to operate as they have been operating.
And the grocery shops
operate on a daily basis. So only restrictions will be on people which are not very essential items. Those shops will be closed down, and people venturing out for anything that is not essential, anything that is not very important, they will be prohibited from going out on the marketplace to buy anything which doesn't come under the essential category. They'll be prohibited from that. Otherwise, people will be allowed to go out and get the essential items which are required on a daily basis in a household.
All right, Ravi, I request you to stay on. I'm also joined by my colleague Narendra who joins us from outside the DRDO Kovid Center. Narendra, this is a new center that has been opened for the residents of Delhi. First of all, give us the sense of how this Kovid center is working. Are people getting access to beds? Because that was the reason why it was announced and open to the public.
Yes, Amrit. Behind me, just near the Terminal 1 of the old terminal of the Indira Gandhi Airport, is this Sardar Patel COVID hospital. It is a 1,000-bed hospital which was inaugurated last year by the Home Minister and Defence Minister last year and just it was wound up in February just 2 months back. But considering that there is a new wave of cases in Delhi and the hospitals, the Delhi government as well as the central government hospitals are overwhelmed with and overburdened with not just patients but also the doctors are feeling the fatigue and they are overburdened and strained to the limit. Then this hospital has opened just today morning at 8 a.m. It is a 1,000-bed facility just like last time and will admit patients. Nobody can be turned out from this facility. Anybody will entering this hospital just has to show his Aadhaar card or any other proof of Indian citizenship and can be admitted in this hospital. It has, of course, ventilators and hospitals. The doctors in this hospital are drawn from the three services: the Army, Navy and Air Force doctors. That is from the Directorate General of Armed Forces Medical Services. So this certainly will, to a certain extent, assuage the burden that is there on the private hospitals and the Delhi government hospitals, which have been completely converted to COVID hospitals, and they absolutely are full to the capacity. There are no beds, no ventilators remaining, and so this hospital will come as a sort of a godsend for those people who are in urgent requirement of beds and critical care. Amrit?
Okay, let me bring back Ravi in. Ravi, give us a sense of where you are. We heard Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal say that there are virtually no ICU beds left in the city. He says that so that, you know, the situation does not further worsen in terms of numbers and the resultant stress on COVID hospitals. It was important to bring in this lockdown to break the transmission chain. Give us a sense of what the situation is at the COVID center where you are. Are there enough beds? Is there enough oxygen for people available? Are more people turning up than the COVID center can take? Are they being, you know, directed to other COVID centers? And if you could also give us a sense of what the prevailing situation in the other COVID centers and hospitals in the national capital really is as of today.
Well, Amritsar, this COVID care center, Sardar Patel COVID care center at the Radha Swami Satsang Vyas center in Bhati, on the border of Delhi with Faridabad, was operational when the first wave of COVID hit Delhi. It is a massive facility of 10,000 beds, which was available as far as the last COVID wave was concerned. After the numbers trickled down, it was wound up, the facility and all the infrastructure was dismantled because the hospitals in Delhi were thought to be enough. There were enough beds and doctors available in the hospitals in Delhi to tackle that amount, which was coming around in February and January. And that this facility was dismantled. Was already dismantled, but now it is being set up again. I'd like to show you that the workers are now working feverishly for setting up the beds. These are the cardboard beds. 10,000 of them were available for patients in this facility last time around, and they are being readied again. Of these 10,000 beds, we are given to understand that around 500 or 600 beds will be equipped with the continuous supply of oxygen, and there will be a dedicated facility for all the COVID patients. Last time it functioned, there were doctors here, and it was done by the ITBP. It was handled by the ITBP. It is still being readied, so no patient is here right now. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been allowed inside here. It is being readied, and it will be ready in 1 or 2 days. That is what we are given to understand. And it will ease off the burden of Delhi's health infrastructure. Many of the patients who are mild patients were referred here last time around. They recovered and they were discharged from this facility. The same will happen this time around. And maybe because of the availability of oxygen, few or more patients will be referred to this facility. And there will be enough infrastructure here to cater to 10,000 patients, and that will have a huge relief on the health infrastructure, the hospital infrastructure in Delhi. It is being readied. It will still take some time. It's a massive facility. The air conditioning will be done here. It will be made air-sealed. The air conditioning units, as you can see, are being ready. They are being supplied. The BSCS team is here. The electricity team is here. The engineers are working round the clock to get this facility up and running in shortest possible time. The rest of the infrastructure is here because it's a massive satsang center of the RSSP. The toilet facilities, the drinking water facilities, and all of the facilities, including this huge shed, are already in place. There is a langar here which will prepare meal for all the patients, as well as the support staff, the frontline workers, as it was done the last time around. And it should be up and functioning in shortest possible time to aid the fight against COVID-19 in Delhi.
And is this free of cost, Ravi, or is it chargeable?
It's completely free of cost, Amrit, as it was the last time around. There is no charge whatsoever. The RSSP is only given its infrastructure to the Delhi government and the central government. The central government has set up this facility, all the beds. You can see here the mattresses which will come after them. The support infrastructure, the doctors and the staff are provided by the central government. And last time it was ITBP which was managing the entire affair. And it is completely free of cost to all the residents, all the people, plus the food that will come. That is being prepared at the langar of the Rajasthan Satsang Vyas here at this party center. And that food for the patients, a special food which is made for the patients, including the kadha and all, that is supplied to the patients, and for the support staff, that is the ITBP, it's completely free of cost.
All right, Nandita, coming back to you, give us a sense of, say the oxygen supply, because that was a major case of concern, the oxygen availability at the DRDO COVID center where you are.
Yes, actually this facility has just begun, just started operating today, Amrit, but oxygen remains a concern not just for Delhi but the entire country, because cylinders, their prices had shot up and there was shortage. Now what the Delhi government has done is that it has made 2 control centers for the procurement of medical oxygen cylinders and their dispersal. Also, there is another control room for the distribution of medicines, and which will be coordinating and actually keeping a hawk's eye on the availability and supply of critical medicines such as remdesivir, etc. Because what has happened is that although there is no scientific evidence to prove that drugs like remdesivir, etc. can actually cure the virus in the body, this pandemic, but it has shown some efficacy as far as mitigation of symptoms is concerned, and that is why there was a black marketing. Some people had started hoarding it. Many people, even common people, had started buying strips of this tablet and hoarding it at home, just as sort of a panic buying in case it is not available later on. And that is why the Delhi government has put these 2 control rooms for the supply of not just medical oxygen cylinders but also remdesivir and other drugs, antiviral drugs. Also, Amrit, I'd like to tell you that the Prime Minister, when he is, when he last reviewed the COVID situation with the Chief Ministers and the Cabinet Secretary, when he reviews with the various health secretaries, he will also be taking stock of the availability of medical oxygen cylinders in states like Maharashtra, Delhi, Madhya Pradesh, which are some of the worst hit states.
All right, Nandita Dagar and Ravi Dhiman, many thanks for joining us for the moment and giving us your inputs. And moving on to our National Prime segment now. And And let's now take a look at the COVID-19 update from across the country, how the rest of the country is performing. As per the Union Health Ministry, 2,73,810 new cases were reported across the country yesterday. 1,44,178 recoveries were recorded in the last 24 hours, taking the cumulative total of recovered patients to 1,29,53,821. With this recovery rate currently stands at 86%. India's total active caseload stands at over 19.29 lakh today. The country's present active caseload consists of 12.81% of the total positive cases. The fatality rate stands at 1.19%. Notably, India has crossed the landmark milestone of COVID-19 vaccination, recording over 12 crore COVID-19 vaccine doses which have been administered so far. 12 crore 38,52,566 vaccination doses have been given so far, while 12,30,007 doses were given yesterday. And now looking at the COVID-19 testing updates, as per the ICMR, 26 crore 78 lakh 94,549 samples have been tested for COVID-19 in the country so far. Yesterday, 13 lakh 56,133 samples were tested for COVID-19. And my colleague Taposh Bhattacharya now joins us with the latest data on the COVID from across the country. Taposh, first of all, to you, this question about testing has been raised by many people. You go onto the social media and you say that people are not getting reports, they're getting detailed reports. Some are saying private labs have been told in some states to lower down testing, to cut down the numbers, because hospitals and the health infrastructure in the states has been under a lot of stress. Give us what the actual situation on the ground really is.
Well, let me put it first, it's imperative that one sticks to the facts, and the fact is very much clear that the central government along with the state governments have been ramping up with the testing part. And in fact, that's one of the reasons why you find that this particular, the more number of cases are coming out, and this particular, the 3 T's that the government, the central government, the mantra that they have given for the testing, treating and tracking has actually been beneficial. Otherwise, things would have been really bad. The only problem that happened, at the start of this particular month, especially in the national capital, where confident that the COVID is over, because at that particular time it's almost 100-200 cases that were coming in, and that's one of the reasons why the common people thought that it's over, and they didn't follow the COVID protocol behavior and didn't wear the mask. And that is one of the reasons why that you can see that in the last, if we take a close look at the week's tally, Delhi, in fact, the national capital, in the last week or so has clocked more than 1 lakh cases. In fact, yesterday, 25,462 cases. This is the highest case all throughout once the pandemic started last year till now. This is the highest number of cases, and the worrisome figure, Amrit, is about the positivity rate that has come out. It is almost 30%. What does it means? That out of every 3 people who are getting tested, 1 person is getting COVID positive, and that is a worrisome figure. And considering the fact that in this particular second wave, most of the people who are requiring or a means to breathe in a way, so that is where the hospitals are struggling. It is not the availability of bed or the medicines. It is the availability of ICU beds, especially with oxygen cylinder. That is a worrisome figure, Amritpal.
All right, Taposh, we'll have to leave it there. Many thanks for joining us and giving us that update. Moving on to Maharashtra. Maharashtra continues to record a spurt in daily novel coronavirus cases as the state added more than 68,000 new COVID-infected patients in the last 24 hours for the first time ever since the pandemic began. Currently, 36,75,518 people are in home quarantine and 26,529 people are in institutional quarantine. There are 6,70,388 active cases in the state. And my colleague Shama Mishra now joins us for Mumbai on the situation. Shama, give us a sense of what the situation in the state is. It still continues to, give the highest number of a single-day spike of cases, 68,000. Give us a sense of what the situation as of today is.
Well, talking about the entire situation, and Maharashtra continues to report the highest number of cases every day, despite of the lockdown that is going on in the state of Maharashtra. The weekend lockdown, we just saw the second week of the weekend lockdown just happened, and the state is also observing night curfews, but the numbers don't seem to come under control. So a lot of new measures are being taken by the state government, also the district administration. Now in this particular direction, new SOPs have been issued to the passengers who would be travelling from sensitive origins. That would be Gujarat, Goa, Rajasthan, Kerala, Delhi NCR. Any passenger travelling from these areas, from these destinations to Maharashtra and through railways, they would be required to carry an RT-PCR negative test with them, and if they are not carrying that, the rapid antigen test would be happening at the station. Apart from that, the state government has also asked the state disaster management and the railway administration to come together and manage the entire situation. Whoever is found negative, they will still have to have a stamp on their hand for 15 days home quarantine, and they cannot leave their houses without a medical emergency, and if they are found roaming without necessary reason, they would be put into institutional quarantine. Apart from that, those who are having a positive, they would be sent to the necessary requiring hospitals or the centers, Covid centers, whichever they choose. Apart from this, we are also seeing, we already discussed about this, that the Mumbai police has started a new initiative because they had to face a lot of traffic jams of the unnecessary vehicles that were there on the roads. So they've segregated the vehicles into 3 categories. So the categories are people from the medical emergency, those who are supplying fruits, vegetables and daily requirements, and also the 3rd category, which is there in essentials category, like the press, media, the banks and so on. So these people will have to get their own stickers from the Mumbai police, and they will have to produce their service proof, and then they can avail these stickers, and they have to put these stickers while they are deploying their vehicles on the road. So it is easier for the Mumbai police and less burdening for the Mumbai police to keep a check on the entire situation. Apart from that, we are also having some good news because the centre government, after the meeting yesterday, has decided that 1,500 metric ton of oxygen would be supplied to Maharashtra, and also we are seeing that in Nagpur already 16 ton of oxygen has already reached, and more are to reach from Bhilai and other places that would be reaching by tonight. So medical emergencies are being faced by the state, and those facilities are being ramped up because this is the need of the hour. As the number is increasing, the medical facilities are fast getting exhausted, and that is why more number of institutions are coming forward. They are offering to help, as they are giving their space, be it hall, auditorium, and they are turning it into a COVID hospital, and they are having particular number of beds where people who are not able to find the beds, then those people can come and get admitted there, and this is how the hospitals or COVID care centers are less burdened. Apart from this, we are also seeing that railway has come forward once again. Last year we did see that a number of coaches had been turned into isolation wards, and this year too in Nandurbar we are seeing 31 coaches have been turned into isolation wards, and people, COVID patients with mild symptoms can get admitted there and they can get treated there. So a number of measures we are seeing both on the restrictions front, and also on the enhancing the medical facilities front is going on war foot in Maharashtra, because it is the need of the hour, because as people are reeling under the we can say mayhem of the entire medical emergency, it is of utmost importance that people should be following COVID appropriate behavior, also take the vaccination drive seriously and go forward. Talking on vaccination drive, we know for the fact that Maharashtra is the state which has crossed the 1 crore mark, and today's number, we got the today's number, that is till yesterday, more than 1 crore 22 lakh doses have already been administered. So yes, on all fronts, everything is, the practices are going on war footing, trying to control the number and give people the medical facilities as much as possible.
And Shama, what is the situation particularly in Mumbai where you are in terms of the stress on the health infrastructure? Are there enough beds? Are there enough ICU beds there? What is specifically the situation of oxygen in Mumbai hospitals?
Well, in Mumbai, because it's a city and there are many facilities available over here, but wherever the numbers are coming more in number, the cases are coming more in numbers, there the facilities are exhausted, and people, they have to roam from one hospital to another, one center to another, and that is why more number of wards, the MCGM wards, are coming out with helpline numbers that they should contact these ward numbers, emergency numbers, before they leave for any other hospital, and they should check which hospital has a bed, which center has the availability that the patient can get treated there, the patient can get admitted there. Talking about Mumbai per se, we are seeing that the numbers have come around 8,400, 8,800 since the last 2 days, and if this continues, we can say that, because we've seen that Mumbai has crossed 11,000 mark also. So if 8,000 mark continues, we may say that the lockdown is working over here, but it has to have a pattern, and we'll have to look for more, more days going forward, that if the number remains steady in this range only, then we could say something like this.
All right, Shama, thank you very much for joining. You take care. We'll keep coming back to you through the day for more updates on that. Thank you for the moment. And the Rajasthan government has imposed a 15-day lockdown like curbs in the state from today till the 3rd of May, owing to the surge in the cases. The lockdown is being called Jan Anusashan Pakhwara, or self-discipline fortnight. During this period, all markets, restaurants, non-essential shops and offices will remain shut. Essential services will remain open. Grocery shops and stalls selling fruits, vegetables, dairy products and milk will be allowed to open till 5 p.m. A negative RT-PCR certificate for tests conducted within 72 hours of travel will be mandatory to enter the state. Also, those travelling to and from the airports, bus stands and train stations will be allowed with valid tickets. And let's now move on to our developing story. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is chairing a key meeting to review the coronavirus pandemic situation in the country. The meeting comes as India's COVID-19 tally has breached the 15 million mark amid worries that the surge could be a result of COVID-19 variants. As of today morning, the death toll rose to 1,619 and currently stands at 1,78,769. The Prime Minister on Sunday chaired a meeting to review the COVID situation in Varanasi in Uttar Pradesh, which is his Lok Sabha constituency. And the Cabinet Secretary has convened a video conference meeting on the issue of medical oxygen with Chief Secretaries and senior officials of states and UTs of Maharashtra, MP, Gujarat, Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh, Uttar Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka and Delhi. The video conference is scheduled for this afternoon at 3 as directed by the Government of India, All India Institute of Medical Sciences. That includes aims of Delhi, Bhubaneswar, Bhopal, Jodhpur, Patna, Raipur, Rishikesh, Mangalapuri, Nagpur and the JIP MER Puducherry and PGI MER Chandigarh have increased their number of beds and ICU beds, the oxygen beds and ICU beds with ventilators. And to talk more about this meeting by the Prime Minister, we are joined by Abhishek Jha. Abhishek, what do we expect in the review meeting by the Prime Minister?
Amit, we know that Prime Minister has been taking series of meetings in the past few days as the crisis of COVID is deepening across the nation. We can expect that with this meeting also, he will have a review of the situation from various heads of departments and all the participants who are part of this meeting. And probably because all the input is very much necessary to decide the path of recovery or path of any mechanism that can curb this spread of COVID mechanism and help people who have been desperately looking for options of hospitals, bed, oxygen supply, or for specific medicine. So, reviewing this whole scenario is an attempt to understand right now what is going on ground and what all needs to be done so that a proper decision could be made out of this whole situation.
All right, Abhishek, we'll have to leave it there. Many thanks for joining us and giving us that update. Thank you. And moving to poll-bound state of West Bengal now, the campaigning for the 6th phase of West Bengal Assembly election is ending this evening in accordance with the Election Commission's order extending the silence period from 48 hours to 72 hours in each of the remaining phases of the polls. During the silence period, parties and candidates cannot hold rallies and meetings. The EC also banned a BJP and a TMC leader for campaigning for 24 hours for delivering provocative speeches. In the 6th phase, 43 assembly seats spread over 4 districts of West Bengal go to the polls. The EC has made adequate security arrangements in the state for the smooth conduct of polls. And to talk more about that, my colleague Rajiv Bhattacharya now joins us. Rajiv, give us a sense of the campaigning for the 6th phase and you know, the seats that go to poll. What are the issues that matter there?
Right, Amit. As you know, campaigning for the 5th phase, for the 6th phase comes to an end this evening, and 6th phase will be held on the 22nd. And of course, these are the districts of touching around the middle of Bengal, and therefore the problems and the issues that are being discussed here are of course slightly different from the ones that were discussed in the northern part of the state and the southern tip of the state. But at the end of the day, I think the main thrust has been a change, parivartan, and the real parivartan, the Ashal parivartan, which the BJP is claiming, and campaigning is being centered around all that. And therefore, obviously with the new COVID restrictions in place, campaigning is a bit muted, as you can understand. But of course, going on quite intensely in door-to-door campaigns and small gatherings and meetings. And we will have to wait and see how it all really pans out.
All right, Rajiv Bhattacharya, many thanks for joining us. We'll have to leave it there for the moment. And in Midday Prime, it's now time for news and updates from the world of business. All right, it's time for updates from the world of business. My colleague Tanvi Taneja is going to join me to tell us what's transpiring there. Tanvi, if I can toss it to you, tell us what's making news in the world of business, Tanvi.
Thank you, Amrit. The domestic stock markets opened deep in the red on Monday morning after a continuous surge in coronavirus cases increased the likelihood of lockdowns. After recovering some lost ground, the Sensex at the BSE had slumped 958 points or 2% to 47,874 a short while ago. The Nifty at the National Stock Exchange had slipped 262 points or 1.8% to 14,356. The broader market was also beaten down, with the BSE Mid-Cap Index losing 2.3% and the Small Cap Index dropping 1.9%. The top index losers were IndusInd Bank, Axis Bank, SBI and Adani Ports, with losses of between 4.7% and 5.7%. At the Forex market, the rupee had depreciated 55 paise to 74 rupees 90 paise against the dollar. Well, there are concerns that the Indian currency may weaken further, tracking the bearish sentiments in local equities, coupled with opportunistic dollar buying by the importers and banks at lower levels. At the multi-commodity exchange, gold had strengthened 267 rupees to 47,620 rupees per 10 grams. Silver had advanced 26 rupees to 68,710 rupees per kilo. Next, shifting our attention to the global crude oil prices. Well, they fell on Monday amid mounting concerns that surging caseloads of coronavirus infections in India and other countries will lead to stronger measures and hit economic activity, along with demand for commodities such as crude. So Brent crude oil was down 23 cents or 0.3% at $66.54 a barrel. US oil was down 27 cents or 0.2% at $62.96 a barrel. So before I give it back to you, Amrit, on the other side of the studio, I must mask up because it's important for you and for me. Stay safe, stay invested.
Yes, you indeed must mask up, Tanvi, and thank you for giving us this update. Stay safe. And let's now take a look at what's making news across the globe. When in Egypt, almost 100 people were injured on Sunday when 4 train carriages derailed in the Kovid province north of Cairo. The train was heading from Cairo to the Nile Delta city of Mansoura and derailed in the afternoon time at about 40 kilometers north of Cairo. The Egyptian National Railways in a short statement said that the cause of the accident is being investigated. Also, the country's health ministry said more than 50 ambulances took the injured to 3 hospitals in the province. The derailing is the latest of several recent railway crashes in Egypt. At least 20 people were killed and nearly 200 were injured in March when 2 trains collided near Tahata, about 440 kilometers south of Cairo. In Austin, in Texas, in the United States, the police on Sunday confirmed that the suspect in the shooting deaths of 3 people is a former police detective, and also confirmed it being a domestic situation as they reduced the massive police presence in the area. Austin Interim Police Chief Joseph Chacon described the incident as domestic, as the victims were all known to suspect. Chacon further said that the department does not think he's very much dangerous. The killings in an apartment complex, which followed a spate of mass shootings in the United States, prompted authorities to lock down the surrounding areas, which includes a popular shopping complex in the northwest part of the city, which is the capital of Texas. Killed at the scene of the shooting were 2 women and a man. In the meantime, in another state of the United States, 3 persons were killed and 2 injured in a shooting at the Kenosha County in Wisconsin early on Sunday. However, the suspect in the shooting at Somers House Tavern is still at large and has not been located. The United States has been on edge over shooting rampages in the recent weeks. Kenosha Sheriff David Beth said that the shooter appeared to have targeted his victims and said that the incident seemed to have originated with a disturbance at the establishment. He told reporters it did not appear to be a random act. Protesters gathered outside the Russian embassy on Prague on Sunday after the Czech Republic expelled 18 Russian embassy staff. The expulsion came after accusation of Moscow's involvement in the ammunition depot blast at a Czech town in 2014. Protesters waving European Union and NATO flags chanted anti-Russian slogans and signed a petition calling on EU support to the Czech Republic. 7 persons were briefly detained after they splashed the walls of the embassy building with ketchup in the early morning hours on Sunday. British Foreign Minister Dominic Raab expressed Britain's full support to the Czech Republic after the fallout with the Russian embassy. Raab on Twitter said the UK stands in full support of Czech allies who have exposed the lengths that the GRU will go to in their attempts to conduct dangerous and malign operations, and highlights a disturbing pattern of behavior following the attack in Salisbury. In Philippines, heavy rain and huge waves battered Catpalogan, eastern city. On Sunday, a super typhoon Surigay brushed past the country's eastern shores. Huge waves battered a seawall in the city as people huddled under shelter surrounded by floodwater for the storm to pass in a local market. Super typhoon Surigay, locally known as Bising, is expected to bring winds of up to 120 kilometers per hour to the parts of eastern Philippines, but the center of the storm is expected to remain at sea. The typhoon, however, is not expected to make a landfall. NASA is hoping to make history today when its Ingenuity Mars helicopter attempts the first powered controlled flight on another planet. Today, the ultra-lightweight robot will try taking off into the Martian sky, and if it succeeds, this maneuver will be the first powered controlled flight on another planet. Ingenuity is scheduled to take off at 1, but its flight controllers are wary. Monday's flight will mark the second time NASA has been poised to fly Ingenuity on Mars. The Mars helicopter first flight attempt on April 11th was delayed by a timing glitch in its systems, which mission engineers have addressed. The helicopter traveled to Mars attached to the underside of rover Perseverance, which touched down on the planet on the 18th of February in a mission to search for signs of extraterrestrial life. Liver is the second largest organ in the body after brain. It is also the second most complex organ in the body. It performs various crucial functions associated with digestion, immunity, metabolism, and the storage of nutrients within the body. World Liver Day is being observed on the 19th of April to raise awareness about liver-related diseases. Let's take a look at this health tip story on how to keep your liver healthy.
World Liver Day is observed on 19th April every year. The aim is to spread awareness about the liver disease. Liver is an important organ of our body. A healthy liver is the way to healthy digestive system. It helps in mobilizing energy, regulating fat storage and blood flow, leading to an improved metabolism and neutralizing toxins for elimination from the body.
On this occasion of World Liver Day, let's talk about how we can keep our liver healthy. Liver does multiple functions like helps in digestion of food, what we eat, fights infection, produces albumin, and removes bad things from our body. Anything what you eat or drink passes through your liver. We need to be very careful with what we drink and eat. Consumption of alcohol is on the rise, especially in young people. Alcohol not only damages the liver but also causes lots of problems in other organs of the body.
Unhealthy lifestyle along with unhealthy food habits makes our liver accumulate too much of toxins that affects the liver gradually. Liver diseases doesn't usually cause any obvious signs or symptoms until it is fairly advanced and the liver is damaged. It is important to know about the ways that can keep your liver healthy.
To keep our liver healthy, let's make a pledge not to consume alcohol. We are becoming more and more sedentary these days and consuming more and more junk foods. Let's make a conscious effort to eat healthy foods and do exercise in any form possible for at least 30 minutes every day. Presently, the COVID cases are increasing. Stay safe, maintain social distancing, eat healthy foods, avoid alcohol, and keep your liver healthy.
The best way to cleanse and enhance liver health is to remove toxic food from your diet. Taking precautions and following a healthy lifestyle is the key to healthy liver. Kiran Bhardwaj, DD News.
And now it's time for us to look at stories from the world of sports. And my colleague Suchitra joins us for more on that. Suchitra, tell us what's happening in the world of sports.
Thank you, Amrit. Let's start with some boxing update. And good news for India. The 2019 Asian Youth Champion Vinka and Alfia Pathan are among the 4 Indian women boxers who advanced into the semi-finals of IBA Youth Men's and Women's World Boxing Championships in Poland. Geetika and Poonam are the other 2 boxers who enter into the last 4 stage and have secured at least a bronze medal for the country. All the 4 boxers put up scintillating performances in their respective quarterfinals bouts. In the men's section, Manish and Sumit made their way into the quarterfinals. Now, IPL news. Shikhar Dhawan struck an impressive 92 as Delhi Capitals made short work of a 196-run target for a 6-wicket win over Punjab Kings in the IPL at Mumbai's Wankhede Stadium yesterday. Dhawan looked in sublime form during his 49-ball knock that was studded with 13 fours and 2 sixes. Dhawan was ably supported by Prithvi Shaw, who made 32 runs of 15 balls first up, and then skipper Rishabh Pant and Marcus Stoinis as DC chased down 196 in 18.2 overs. Put into bat, Mayank Agarwal and captain KL Rahul staged a century-run opening stand to guide Punjab to a challenging 195 for 4. In another IPL match, Royal Challengers Bangalore ended their Chennai leg of IPL 2021 with a hat-trick of wins, beating Kolkata Knight Riders on the back of explosive half-centuries from Grail Maxwell and AB de Villiers. Maxwell made a 49-ball 78, his second 50 of the season, while de Villiers clubbed an unbeaten 34-ball 76. Between them, they hit 18 fours and 6 sixes to take the Royal Challengers to 204 for 4 after Virat Kohli chose to bat, and that total proved too big for the Knight Riders. The Knight Riders were aggressive through their chase but lost wickets regularly. The win for Kohli's men kept them at the top of the points table, while the Knight Riders ended their Chepauk run with 2 defeats in 3 games. Creating a stir in the soccer world, 12 of Europe's top clubs announced on Sunday that they are launching a Breakaway Super League headed by Real Madrid president Florentino Perez. The move sets up a rival to UEFA's Champions League competition and has been receiving heavy criticism by soccer authorities and politicians. 6 clubs from England's Premier League, Manchester United, Manchester City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea and Tottenham Hotspur, feature among the founding members. The other 6 being Spain's Real Madrid, Barcelona and Atletico Madrid, and Italy's Inter Milan, Juventus and AC Milan. In a statement, the members said that the league plans to launch as soon as practicable, and the founding clubs will be given $3.5 billion to support their infrastructure investment plans and to offset the impact of the COVID pandemic. Leicester City has reached their first FA Cup final since 1969, defeating Southampton 1-0 at Wembley. Kelechi Iheanacho's second half goal proved decisive for the Foxes, whose last major final of any description came in 2000 when they lifted the League Cup. Leicester's manager Brendan Rodgers says his side has the chance to create history. Rodgers is yet to win major silverware in English football, though he won 7 trophies in less than 3 years as manager of Celtic. Rodgers' side will now face Chelsea in the final on 15th May, their first appearance in the showpiece since they lost 1-0 against Manchester City 52 years ago. So those were some sports updates. Back to you, Amrit.
Well, thank you, Suchitra, for that. And now it's time for our next segment, Life Prime, where we bring you stories from the world of art, culture, cinema, fashion, science and innovation, stories that bring smiles, stories that are changing lives. And today in Life Prime, we'll tell you the story of Dexter Dog. If you take your eyes off San Juan Mountains while strolling through downtown Ouray in Colorado, something strange might catch your eye. Dexter, a 6-year-old dog walking down the street like a human. Dexter is a Brittany breed who has turned heads as he walks down the street next to his owner on his hind legs. In 2016, after Dexter was hit by a truck, he learned to walk on his hind legs. Today, he's loved in Jorge in Colorado, and on various internet platforms. So that's it in Midday Prime. But remember, the situation is grim. You really need to take care of yourself. So try not to go out of your homes unless absolutely essential. And if you must, do maintain social distancing, wash your hands regularly, abide by the COVID protocols, and remember always to wear a mask. This is our only protection against COVID. Get vaccinated if you are eligible, but remember, this is our only protection, so wear a mask. Thanks for watching. Namaskar.